G'day, Suhail. How are you?
Good day, Gregory. I'm great. How are you?
Yeah. Seems like we back to this again.
Yep, always a pleasure. Week one was awesome.
Yeah, and I think Cybersecurity Month is going really, really well. Saw the little riddle. I think I know the answer, but I'll chat to you later about it.
Sorry, too late. Week one is done. We've actually got our first winner already. Their prize is on the way. But we are in week two, which means another edition and another chance to win.
Suhail, it takes me longer than a week to work the riddle out. I need more time. It's
Pay
like school.
attention in the podcast. I don't know if you were listening, but
Cool.
pay attention.
Well, speaking about the podcast, today we are joined by Keith Larks. Welcome, Keith.
Good afternoon, everybody.
So Keith is
afternoon,
the executive head of
Head.
technology.
That's correct. That's me. I look
Give us a
after
background.
this team called Core. So me and my team, we run the network that produces the services that we sell and deliver to our customers. So just think of us as the factory that produces the service on an ongoing basis, and our factory is never allowed to actually switch off. You're not allowed to do any load shedding on our factory, unfortunately.
No, that's perfect. Keith, you're also part of the team that looks after the security of Vox and obviously of the customers. And today we're going to be talking about AI as social engineering, so the new frontier of cyber threats. Can you explain a bit about that?
Yes, so as everybody is probably well aware by now, there are many cyber threats lurking out there. There are always criminals looking for vulnerabilities to exploit, to try and hack into your system, and they do it because inevitably there is a financial benefit in it for them. If they are able to gain access to your systems, they can execute a ransomware attack where they encrypt all your data, they delete all your backups, and if you don't have the necessary controls in place to make sure that everything is safe and secure and backed up in a completely isolated environment, you can fall victim to such an attack. But in the past, it's becoming more and more difficult for the average attacker out there to just simply gain access to your systems. So they turn to social engineering type attacks where they try and convince staff of the organization, to provide like the password or the IP address, or to leak some information that they can use to figure out a new form of attack or some way into the organization system. So if they can get somebody's password, for example, they can log on as if they're the staff employee, and they can do what they want to do. So over time, it's becoming more and more difficult. More and more controls are being put into place, and so now with the advent of AI, some of these attackers are now using AI as a tool to automate the process. So, for example, they can impersonate somebody that you know by making a copy of the guy's video, and they can make the video say whatever they want to say in your friend's voice. It could be, let's say it's the CEO's face and audio that appears on your Teams call, and you think you're actually talking to the CEO, but you're actually talking to the hacker, and you wouldn't know you wouldn't know better. So if the CEO says, listen, you need to please go and unlock this door. I need to get in at 4 o'clock. But I'll arrive at like 4:30. So you don't worry, you can just unlock the door and go, and I'll be there soon. So that's one example where you think you're talking to the CEO, but in fact you're talking to the hacker. And so these attacks are becoming more and more sophisticated. For example, they can go and look at your Facebook profile, and they can see who your friends are. They can go to your friends' websites. They can send you mail with some detail in the mail that makes you believe that it's really your friend. He knows exactly what's happening in your life, what's happening in your friends' lives. So it's very easy to convince you that this is a legitimate email, and then the email has a call to action where you are coaxed into doing something that you shouldn't have been doing in the first place. But just because it's somebody that you know, maybe it's a friend within the workplace, maybe in a different town, but part of the same company, they convince you to do things which you shouldn't be doing, but because the email looks completely legit. And so these AIs are hard at work. I heard a stat the other day that apparently at the moment, about 30% of all the traffic that visits a website is an AI that is visiting your website, and it basically trolls the entire website to actually learn what there is to learn. But some portion of that 30% are let's call it criminal AI bots that are doing the rounds to try and see what they can find. So that's just one example, of like deep fake video and audio attacks. And the next kind of attack vector that the guys apply using AI is you have a piece of software that tries and goes to the website. It tries, all the possible means of getting into your website to basically breach your defenses, and it uses AI to do so. So these AIs can learn as soon as there's a vulnerability that comes out somewhere. The AI sits and watches that website, and as soon as somebody publishes, there's a new vulnerability, the AI will go there. It will figure out, what vulnerability is being exploited, and maybe even if it needs to go and write a piece of code, you now have AI swarms of AI agents that can write code in a completely automated manner. They can actually look at the vulnerability, quickly go and write the code, test to see whether the code works. Cool, it works. Then they try and hack into the website using that vulnerability, and then they start scouring the entire world, all systems that's exposed to the internet. They will try and use that newly developed vulnerability with the newly developed piece of code that exploits that vulnerability to get into your systems. So that's the background, Greg.
Yeah. Keith, you're terrifying me. I think when AI first came around, things like this was exactly everyone's fear. My first question is, where do you even begin safeguarding yourself? Like, what's step one?
Look, I think you've got to just be aware of red flags. And I know it's very difficult. You've got to just be a little bit suspicious. If something doesn't look, just one little thing looks a bit out of the order, out of ordinary. If you get a request that's just a little bit odd, but it comes from the boss, be polite, talk to the guy, and then at the end of the call, just phone the guy back on his cell phone. Okay, because just to kind of close the loop to confirm. Just want to make sure that that was really you. I know it's difficult, and remember these attackers know exactly what time of the month you're at your busiest, right? You're busy with your bull run, and they could potentially combine this kind of impersonation attack with maybe doing a DDoS on you to kind of make your life a misery. And whilst in the heat of the moment, you get the phone call, and now your guards aren't up at the level where it should be, because you're in a stressful environment, and they try and abuse that situation to get you to do what they want you to do. But other than just looking out for red flags, and just being a little bit suspicious, there's not much else really that you can do. Just follow. Make sure you follow, the policies. The information security teams would issue policies. They would issue continuous reminders, some guidance if a new attack vector comes around that we see, wait a minute, this thing's got a potential of convincing some of the staff into doing something that shouldn't be. Then there's an awareness. We will communicate with the staff, tell them, the information security teams will tell the staff, listen, be aware, this is the new modus operandi. So just be aware of that.
So I kind of feel like people are going to be checking to make sure that I'm the right person, but I'm feeling that the person that's checking is also checking to do something, mischievous. And, it's kind of like, the days, sort of like getting a little bit paranoid here. So apart from red flags, I mean, surely what type of things can we do in the day-to-day environment of the office to protect the company? Apart, we've got policies, and we read the policies, but we always think it doesn't really pertain to me because, like in our previous episode, we were talking about I'm a low-level employee, so it doesn't really affect me. Are those people targeted more? How do we overcome this?
Look, I think some of these attacks are done that they basically target the senior personnel, because those are the guys that potentially are the guys that can push the button to make the payment, for example, right? But if there is some way that at a lower level organization, the staff can be exploited, maybe, people don't have that as many years of experience in the job place, those guys can become a target, but like the tendency has been more middle and top management, right, that gets targeted. But it happens, everywhere. So for the normal worker, you could get an SMS that says, this is your buddy at SARS, we've got a refund, click here. And then you've got to put in your work email address and password. Okay, so those kind of vulnerabilities are always there. People can be caught out, and this is why we have things like multi-factor authentication, where you've got to go to your phone will pop up, and you have to authenticate or authorize the session over there. So if it is if somebody does get all of your password, inadvertently you let that slip, you still need to have access to your phone, right, to actually do the multi-factor. So those are controls that we put in place to try and guard against when people do slip up and do something which they kind of shouldn't have been doing in the heat of the moment. But yeah, it is difficult. So it's just ongoing education, and the one concern that I have is that you cannot anticipate what the next attack vector will be, right? These AIs are pretty clever, and if you have a criminal that's using AI as a tool, they can become very, very innovative, right? And you don't know what the next attack's gonna look like. So you have to be like nimble. You've got to keep awake. Keep on looking on the internet. Who's been attacked? How did they do it? See if it's a risk for us, and educate the staff.
I think that's kind of sitting in my mind now, because I've always ignored this, because this is really Core's business. I mean, that's what you guys are doing, because it really doesn't affect me. But you're saying now we've got to be aware, because we don't know where the next one comes from and what it's gonna be.
Yeah, and also this affects your personal life, right? It's not just the business environment. I mean, there are people out there trying to hack into your bank account. Remember, there are criminals working in all organizations, right? So you could have criminals in the bank trying to attack you, and they're just waiting for you to slip up once, and there's your bank account's empty. Okay, and yeah, so yeah, it's a crazy world we live in. Scary.
It is scary, but my question is, so what do you do once you realize, what, I've been compromised? Whether you've been cloned or you've fallen for something, what's your contingency for damage control?
Yeah. So look, if it happens in the workplace, first thing is get all of the information security team, let them know that you did something. It could have in hindsight, I shouldn't have been doing this. So just play open cards. It's better to tell the information security team what happened than to try and keep it a secret, because in the long run you're going to be caught out, and you're going to there will be questions asked to say, but like you realized you did this and you didn't say anything, and things just got worse. Okay, because the quicker that action can be taken, we can prevent a disastrous situation by just having quick enough information, right? That we can act upon. So it's better to know than to just let it be, and then a week later it becomes a disaster.
What about employees who are afraid of being punished?
No,
Because it happens.
Look, everybody makes mistakes. I think we're always reasonable in the action taken. I mean, we had a situation a few years ago where one of our staff, by accident, pushed the emergency fire breaker in one of the data centers. He pushed the button because he thought that's the button you push to open the door. Okay. And he pushed this button. You have to break the glass to get to the button. But anyway, so he pushed the button and it released gas. And I think that gas cost us something like 300,000 Rand to replace.
Yo.
And it blew the tiles off the ceiling in the data center. And yeah, so it wasn't a small mistake. And the problem is, instead of owning up to this immediately, he tried to hide the fact that he had done it, but it was all plain as day on the video cameras.
Yeah. I think, the truth always comes out in the wash, and I think you're right. Step forward, say, this is what I did. I mean, I got caught by your team last 2 years ago with an email from our CEO. Panicked, needed a document that was sent, couldn't find it, sent a big apology, and meanwhile it was just a phishing attack. And I think, you got to own up, rather send it to the security team and they say it's nothing or it's not a threat, then just click on it and then all of a sudden we have, our servers hacked and all of that. Yeah. So Keith, I mean, thanks very much for spending some time and telling us. I think Suhail summed it up. He said, I'm scared. Yeah. The days we used to watch these movies about Skynet and how things were going to be so awesome and how AI, I mean, I'm now thinking there's a Terminator coming through the door just now.
And they warned us. Terminator warned us. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Look, another thing which AI has enabled these hackers to do, right, is that in the past, the hacker had to do everything himself, right? So you would, work in a certain area, maybe trying to target one company, maybe one team, maybe one employee, because he only has it's one man, right? He only has so much manpower, right? So many hours in the day. But now with AIs, he can actually magnify what he does many-fold over. So you can attack thousands of companies, millions of employees, all on the same day.
Yeah. Think of that.
So if they do identify a new innovative attack vector, you can actually, I mean, what they'll typically do is they won't just target one company, right? They will try and do it because as soon as the one company knows about it, they will tell everybody else, it'll get into the news, and everybody else would put their defenses up against this. So what the AI will allow this guy to do is to try and attack with this new innovative attack vector. You can attack thousands of companies, millions of people, all at the same time, on the same day.
Yeah.
So that it minimizes the degree to which you could actually put up your defenses when you hear about this happening somewhere else.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure that the controls that you have in place to protect your systems, and we've got software that we install on laptops now and on servers that actually uses AI themselves to detect when some process or some piece of software is starting to do something that it shouldn't be doing. Okay, so there's AIs that's living in the software that we install to try and protect us against the other AIs.
That's what I was going to ask. Is there no AI that we can use? So it's basically battle of the robots right now.
Yes, to some degree. Yeah.
Sure. Well, again, thank you very much, Keith.
Okay.
We will definitely be talking to you again. As I said, it's Cybersecurity Month. So we're definitely making everybody aware of it. I'm a bit more aware of it. Suhail, I will definitely be contacting you about a secret word so that I know that you're not an AI trying to get me to do things I shouldn't be doing. But thanks very much,
Yeah,
Keith.
I'm wondering
Okay.
if this is really Keith or if we've been hacked.
I was thinking about trying to make myself into a bot, but I kind of ran out of time.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Keith. Thanks, Suhail.
Thanks,
Alrighty.
Keith.
Thank
Cheers,
you.
Always a
guys.
pleasure,
Bye-bye.
Greg.
Bye.
Yes, bye.